Hi, my name is Samy Aboel-Nil and I run technical product management at DevFactory. And I'd like to take a few moments to share with you my passion for designing great software and talk about how that relates to the senior technical product manager role that we have posted on crossover.com. To start with, I think that most companies do an absolutely lousy job of technical product management. I mean it. I think it's some of the most important decisions that companies make. The impacts last a long, long time, and they ultimately determine success or failure. And yet, for most companies, they sort of wander into building the product, figure it out as they go, don't take the time up front to make the hard decisions. The very consequential and important decisions are often, made as kind of an afterthought. I used this database before and I'm comfortable with it. Let's just use it again. We can always change it later, but you never do. Let's just start playing around with this machine learning engine or this architecture. If it's wrong, we'll change it later, but they don't do that. It becomes harder and harder. Instead of doing the hard work and making the decisions that are correct up front. And you may need to prototype and take the time to be an expert and learn. All of that is fine. But it's worth, I think, trying to figure out what the really important, consequential technical choices are and make them correctly. The right ones can make all the difference in the world. And instead, many companies follow what a competitor is doing and try to catch up. Or they listen to the feedback from sales on the last deal they lost to a competitor and they start building that. Or they mock up UIs and use cases and they focus on the UI. And all of that comes at the expense of focusing on what matters, which is the core of the product. What does the core of the product do? What are the data structures and algorithms and technology choices in the core of the product that deliver the value proposition that the product is designed to deliver? And we call that tech diff. It's the fusing of two things. It's understanding the most important value or problem that the product is there to solve, which doesn't have anything to do with how to do it. It's what you do. And then combining that with the important technical choices that will deliver that in the best possible way. And that can mean a lot of different things, and I'll give you some examples. But they're all important decisions. Sometimes an important decision is which third-party technology to use, like a database, pretty mundane question. But you've got relational databases and columnar databases, key value, in-memory document databases, NoSQL databases. There's so many. And they all have their purpose, right? They're all different tools in the tool chest. And knowing what they all are and when to use them, when it's appropriate, and how to use them. Once I pick one of those, you have to put parameters on how it's used to be used in the best possible way. Those are the important technical choices. And those are some of the easy ones, because those just have to do with choosing an existing technology solution, right? But what about picking the right data structures? If you're going to do that, you need to understand the product, understand the core of what it does, and then see if your technical mind can innovate a data structure that can do that better than anything else out there. And those often come conjoined with an algorithm too, right? And so can you come up with an algorithm and how it works and what data structure would be represented to do a superior job at that? And when you do that, you're innovating, right? You're building unique features that is technically defensible. The most interesting of these can't just get copied in a week or two by somebody else because you've put the thought into a superior design. And it can be a ground-up sort of algorithm, or it can just be, selection from existing algorithms. We have a world of different machine learning and AI choices, but when should we use, a machine learning approach or a recommendation engine or nearest neighbor or neural net or whatever, right? Just like the database example, you've got all these different patterns in the world, but they really are all different. and when to apply them and how to apply them really matters a lot. Sometimes it's identifying technology trends, right? And saying, how do we apply this trend to our advantage? What's the right way to use it? Maybe it's something like containerization, which is a technology mega trend right now. So where and how do we apply it? How do we choose between using ECS versus Kubernetes? These are all things, and the landscape is always evolving and changing. And great technical product managers are experts at deconstructing what the product needs to do, and experts at all the different tools out there, including the ones that would have to be built potentially, and then making those important decisions, which really is providing leadership. It's providing technology and architecture leadership. And so, as you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about this. I believe it has one of the biggest impact when it comes to the success or failure of a software company, because at the heart of a software company is software. So if your product isn't unique and differentiated, it's going to be really hard for your sales team to sell. If it doesn't scale well, you're going to have support problems. If you made the wrong decisions, it could have a cost structure which isn't healthy for the business in terms of not getting better as the scale increases. These all map back to the heart of what the company does, which is software. And this is the job where the important decisions that have to do with the software get made. It's really that simple. So I'm extremely excited about this role and the work that we're doing, because it is huge impact. You will develop your skills in an enormous way, because we have a passion for this, and we're taking the time to build a repeatable, high-quality process, to invest the time in developing expertise in all of these things and documenting it, in building a way of delivering these high-quality decisions in a very repeatable manner. And that requires training and education and documentation. And so I think it's a very unique opportunity in the sense that it's important work, but it will develop your skills enormously if this sounds like fun and valuable work to you as well. I found that good candidates have a couple things in common. They all have a strong technical background. They all have experience writing code at some point in their career, doing design, making these important choices. Oftentimes, they've been responsible for making these choices for other people, right? They're in a lead role where they're doing architecture work breakdown, and so they've learned through some experience how to deconstruct big, complicated problems into manageable components that can be independently developed and then integrated without a big nightmare. I find that good candidates and applicants have a little bit of scar tissue to show for it, right? You've been in a role where you've made good decisions and bad decisions, or at least seen them play out, and you have some perspective on not only how important these decisions are, the consequences, but some of the patterns that you want to avoid, some of the pitfalls that exist, and you will have in mind when you sit down to make design decisions at DevFactory on my team. You probably enjoy learning new technologies, right? I am very weary of people who have their favorite technology that's got to be applied everywhere. And I much prefer people who appreciate that there are all types of different tools in the world, and our job is to understand them. Our job is to evaluate them and know when to apply it, and then how to apply it, right? What constraints need to be put on it? What are the important decisions when you use that tool that you need to go along with it, not just the selection of the technology itself. I found that successful candidates at this role enjoy the art of communication, not just verbally, but especially in a written form. It ultimately is how we document these things, pass them on within the organization to engineering and others. And I found that people who enjoy organizing their thoughts and presenting them in a clear and crisp way It's sort of analogous to writing code, actually. Some of the best technical product managers I've worked with, when I read their writing, it feels like I'm looking at their code when they're coding, in the sense that, they make these declarative statements, it's structured in a certain manner, the formatting and the typos and all that kind of stuff matters. They take the time to be consistent when they name something. They name it consistently throughout their writing. They know when to use bullet points, and they tend to, because they want the most dense way of communicating something, right? You don't want 10 lines when 100 lines will do. And so the art of clear and concise communication is quite important in this. Types of prior roles that people have, things like a CTO, a technical co-founder, lead architect or designer. Those are the types of background. But it all comes down to people that understand technology, and they are passionate about making the right big picture technology decisions and understanding the problem that is intended to be solved, and then being a leader by making those decisions in a very clear and binary way, and putting them in writing so that we can all understand them, we can all be aligned to them, and then execute on the plan of building and delivering these great products. So I hope you found this a useful overview of my passion for the function of technical product management and the role that senior technical product managers play. And I wish you great luck in the pipeline and the application process, and I hope to get the chance to speak to you soon. Take care and have a good day. Thanks.